If we understand the African internationalist question, and we understand the placement of Palestine in the world, which is basically North Africa. Let's be serious about it. The only reason why it's called the Middle East is because Henry Kissinger wanted to create a brand name that's detached from a place that he could attack and make seem like it's a vulnerable place in American minds. This is complete campaigning and branding for capitalism that this even phrase Middle East was created. And but once we understand that relationship, and we understand that imperialism is imperialism, meaning no matter where imperialism is, here or abroad, it stands as imperialism, or an imperialist is an imperialist, then no matter where you are, if you're a Palestinian and you stand on the side of imperialism, if you stand as a capitalist dog who are in the stores, who are selling Africans and the rest of us poor and oppressed people around the world goods and services that are no good for us, and you look like an imperialist, you walk like a duck, talk like it's a duck. So the reality is that this is not everywhere that the world is. You know, this is not that's not every relationship in the world is not governed in that way. And as a matter of fact, solidarity and true solidarity for the African internationalist is the play of the day. This old defunct idea that, you know, Africans should only support African struggle or in solidarity with organizations. Like when I say my enemy's enemy is my man, which is the line from Prez's song Psychology. My enemy's enemy is my man. One dreadlock is stronger than one strand. I mean, our solidarity with Palestine against Israel, which is America de facto, basically, it functions as an outpost of America. Israel is an American outpost. Then we're fighting the same enemy that we fight when one shoots down Oscar Grant or shoots down Sean Bell or practices racial or discriminatory practices against our brothers and sisters right here on American soil. Any narrow-minded point of view that said, oh, well, you know, these brothers and sisters, you know, they don't care nothing about the black struggle. This is the idea of what solidarity is about. We have to make what Palestine is to Arabs the same thing that Africa, or particular points like Zimbabwe or Sierra Leone or Nairobi, we have to make those for Africans in the diaspora, what that question is, or what Cuba is to Latin America. We have to be able to expose and solidify our strongest ties to be able to do that, and that's why you find me in Gaza. I went to Gaza, and I went to the West Bank. I went to Ramallah. I went to Belaim. I went to Hebron. I went in Jenin, and I went to Jerusalem. All because I wanted to be able to not only in theory talk about solidarity, but show actual solidarity in a way that says, now, when we stand up, what will you do? And I can tell you, for all the narrow nationalists, because I'm not a nationalist, I'm not even a Pan-Africanist, because Pan-Africanism, you know, we have ideological struggle all day, but Barack Obama defeats the idea of Pan-Africanism because he's all black, but he ain't all good for black people. So, when we talk about this idea and this narrow nationalist approach and how we hold Palestinian people accountable to this process, I can tell you that there is a Palestinian organization called Existence is Resistance, the same one that I went to Palestine with through Cairo and then reached Gaza, that side, and that I went to and we reached the West Bank. Now, everything is not perfect with these organizations, but on December 4th, this organization stood in the Miller Rockefeller Center in commemoration of the assassination of Fred Hampton Sr., Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. and Mark Clark on December 4th, 1969, held up their Palestinian flag and yelled out solidarity with the African Liberation Movement. That makes, to me, perfect sense why we have to be able to have unity around the enemies of imperialism. Period and point blank.
All right. This last question, and we appreciate your time again. We were talking earlier, there was some discussion in the program in regards to African women, how African women are being portrayed in the music, in hip-hop music or rap music, I guess more specifically. and the fact that it's not an accidental, I guess, symptomatic process that this is occurring, that there are no, even in the realms of revolutionary music, there's a concerted attempt to squash and to not promote any revolutionary female MCs or artists. There's a concerted attempt to constantly use the music to denigrate African women. Can you speak to that process, being I guess in some sense an industry insider, and kind of some of the steps that we need to take as a conscious community to reverse that situation?
Well, hip hop, if it were and had an identity that was African, and if it was able to be influenced by an African stimulus, I guess the word would be in another place. Enter the African Council of Elders, who would govern culturally what ideas permeate the African community, and who are the people who can espouse those ideas. Therefore, saying, because you've come through a rites of passage process through our culture, through our community, this Council of Elders deems you able to be an MC, even just an MC. Because too many people are grabbing the mic, calling themselves MC, and have no idea what MC means. Master of communication. Gotta be. I mean, you can call it what you want to say, EMC, how I call it master of communication. And so, if we would had this council, or that ability to discern between those who had earned the right to speak and not, there would be less of an attack on African women. Matter of fact, there would not be an attack on African women. But because it is the play of the day, because Dr. Askia, he in a certain kind of way, I think we can never let the imperialists off the hook. The imperialists want to create propaganda that denigrates women. It's not Africans' fault that we learn this process through imperialism. This is not an African process. This is an other than African process that we've learned, gulped down, wholeheartedly digested, and I think that we have become one with. So therefore, you have a complicit strategy with most MCs that come inside this kind of this parameters of hip hop in this, in this like Western worldview, that feel like this is the rule, this the rules, this is how you play the game. So it becomes normal, not even looked at. People like Snoop Dogg, who have created atrocities against women, let off the hook at any